New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge, on the growing edge.
Hello and welcome to Growing Edge Live. I'm Ali Benjamin, and it is my great joy to be here today with another amazing guest. For those of you that are here for the first time, I'm so glad that you are. We have conversations with soul-centered individuals that channel their time, their love, their resources, their energy, their creativity into doing good work in the world and really making a difference. And today, my guest is Erica Teel. Erica has been a friend of mine for a few years. We don't know each other really well, so I'm looking forward to getting to know her even better today. Erica is a multifaceted teacher, entertainer, and spiritual facilitator. And so welcome, Erica, to Growing Edge Live.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, it's really good to see you. And I know that you just had a big move. You moved from Denver, where you had lived for many years. So where are you now?
We are in Arizona, just outside the Phoenix area. And we've been here since November. So huge change for us.
Yeah, you must be getting used to all of those beautiful desert sunrises and sunsets.
Yes, they're gorgeous. The sky in itself, I thought that nothing could top, the Rocky Mountains. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And right now the desert is alive with all the blooming cacti, and it's amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I bet. I remember, I'm from England originally, and I never really had a great appreciation for the desert until I spent time there. I lived at beach when I first moved to this country, and then up to the mountains of Big Bear Lake. And just below Big Bear is Palm Springs and Joshua Tree National Park and some beautiful desert spaces. And I would go down to the desert, and at first it was like, I don't know, it just looks almost dead compared to England and compared to the beach and the mountains. But then we ended up staying in the desert. My husband and I, we camped in the desert for many, many weeks, I would say. We spent a whole year on the road. And so I really got an appreciation for it, and would love to wake up early in the morning to capture the sunrise, and to go to bed just after the sunset, and always take pictures. It's just an amazing, wonderful environment. And
It's beautiful.
This time of year, I remember being in Tucson and outside of Phoenix area, and capturing the saguaros blooming at this time of year. So I'm imagining you're getting some of that.
Yes, walking around the neighborhood, it was just cacti, and all of a sudden it's blooming, and now the blooms are kind of going away. It's miraculous. It's really pretty.
Yeah. So what took you to Arizona? What was the appeal?
Well, the big thing was that I was needing some more oxygen. I was needing lower altitude. And so just getting out ahead of anything like that was what we were trying to do, just stay ahead of the curve there. And so I thought, well, we'll move out of Denver. That's a mile-high city, and we go to like Arvada or somewhere else in Colorado. And everybody's like, you're going to have to go further away than Colorado to get low enough to get out of altitude. So that's what we did. We started looking around for a place that's easy to get to, get back and forth because our kids and grandkids are still there. So, but that was the main move. And so since it was health related, nothing's wrong, just getting out ahead of that. You have to embrace that. I don't think I really want to move the Rocky Mountains. I love them. And when you need to embrace something like that, you find a way, and you know that there's no private good, that if it's good for us, if it's good for me, then it's going to be good for everyone. And Roger was kind of over shoveling snow. He'd been saying that for a while. And I was like, la, 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 because I loved it there. But anyway, that's how we ended up here. And now we've been here since November, and throughout the course of last year getting moved here, it's been a process, and it's really coming together very well.
Beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, when I entered, a spiritual teacher, facilitator, and so I'd love to have a look back a little bit to your origins. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about your life and your stories.
Okay. Well, I was born in DeQueen, Arkansas, back in 1959. So I was born there. My dad my parents are still with us, thank God. My mom is 91. She's a retired school teacher. My dad is 92, and he's a retired teacher and coach and Army Ranger and all of that. So, yeah, grew up there. I was in Arkansas for a bit, and then really grew up right outside of Branson, Missouri, and grew up actually living on a college campus. And it was a small, private little campus. I had a lot of opportunities there. My dad being the athletic director, I got the keys to the gym. And so my sisters and I would always be in the gym and in the pool and playing around and running around the campus and nature and all of that. So that was my upbringing. I feel very blessed to have had that, and parents that were like, you can do anything, you know. And so that was good. And then I got married to Mark when I was 19 years old, and didn't go to college. So my parents were like, what happened? I got married, very happy, and I had 2 sons. And then when Mark was 27 and I was 26, he passed away from leukemia. And the boys were 3 and 6 years old. And we were in Houston, Texas at the time. And that was like, kind of mind blowing, happening there. So that was tough. And after a couple of years, I thought, I don't know why I'm staying in Texas. I didn't have really, it was just time for a change. And so I called my then mother-in-law and I said, Zena, I think I'm finished with Texas. And she goes, well, where are you going to go? And I said, well, either Florida, because I love the beach, or Denver, because we used to go skiing as a kid. And she said, oh, honey, you've done warm weather, go to the mountains. I'm like, okay. That just hit right. And so I just got my things together and came out to Denver and found a place to live. And as we were driving down, I have an aunt that lives there. She's since passed, but she was driving me around looking for a place to live, and we passed Mile High Church. And I don't know if you've been there, but it's very unique architecture there. And so she looked and she said, do you see that building there? We were stopped and I said, yes. She goes, do you know what it is? And I was like, no. And she said, it's church. It's a voodoo church. Voodoo church? What the heck is that? So I just knew from knowing her, I thought it just has to be very different than what she's used to. But I made a little note because it just sparked my interest. And so when I moved then to Denver, I went to Mile High and I sat in the back row just in case it was, odd. And I liked it. I bought the tape and I sent it to my mother-in-law, Zena. And I said, is there anything like I'm not seeing because I think it's great? She goes, oh, honey, it sounds wonderful. And so anyway, and I then went there. And then the second Sunday there, I met Roger. And gosh, then we started dating a few months later. And then we were married, I think 10 days shy of a year that I moved there with the boys. So then I was introduced to this community of new thought and bam, bam, bam. It's just everything because I didn't have a lot of spiritual background. Even though I was in the Bible Belt and all that, I don't know why. It just didn't, nothing really took, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but I went along, happy life, great family and all. But when I went there, it was like after going through the loss of Mark with no spiritual sort of grip, that was such a lovely place to land. It was loving, it was accepting, it was understanding, it was safe. I started learning, about spirit / God / the universe, whatever you want to call. But I started really grasping onto that, and it was so good. And so I felt like I could take a deep breath when I was there, and I loved it. And, was there. I moved in 87. So from 87 on till last year, being there was really a wonderful community to be in.
Wow. So 1987 is when you moved to Denver?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's funny that you immediately went to that voodoo church.
I know.
After your aunt had said that. What did she say about it did you tell her?
Yes. Well, finally because it took a couple of months, and we started dating. And so my aunt was like, so what does this young man do? I was like, oh, you don't want to know, because I think I would, because I thought, don't, but I told her, and I think she was worried about me and everything. Like, I don't know this, and everything. But you know what? She really did come around, and Roger's such a loving person, he's been such a gift in my life and the boys' life and my whole family's life. And my mother-in-law, Zena, she adores him. So, that was really sweet too. So, she was concerned, but I think all in all, it was okay. Because I almost just said it'd be easier to say he's a Chippendales dancer, because she could accept that maybe easier than he's a minister of the Voodoo Church. But
yeah. So for those that don't know who Roger is, and I'm sure there aren't many that are watching this show, tell us a little bit about Roger. So you met him when you were at service. He was the speaker,
yes.
Obviously.
Yeah, the second week he was the speaker. So Roger was a minister at Mile High Church for, I think I know this, I think 43 years before he retired. We had a brief stint. He started out in Portland, Oregon for a few years, and then in California, and then been back in Denver since 93, and then retired in 2019, I think, 2018, 19, somewhere in there. And and so he was the senior minister at Mile High Church for many years, and then had a lovely community of ministers working there with him. Michelle Madrano, Cynthia James, Raz Smith, Barry Ebert, Simon. It just so many beautiful people. Lloyd Barrett, Marjorie Stamm, Patty Lukenbach. Just this wonderful host of ministers that it took to run such a very large church. And I felt so blessed. I felt like I was just dropped into this beautiful, loving community of people that I still just adore. And so Roger was minister there. He taught classes, and now he does some online coaching and classes and things like that. Because when COVID hit, everything shifted, and he's just taken it to online and does some in-person retreats.
Beautiful. Yeah. So that moving to that area in Colorado and finding that church and meeting Roger and being embraced so wholeheartedly by that community, it sounds like, must have felt almost like you were guided, or divinely guided to be there, because that whole move from Houston to Colorado to the Denver area, and then to be, so loved and so supported, and that must have been really helpful. Yes. But losing a husband at 26 must have been just I can't even imagine with two small children.
And trying to explain it to the boys at that young age. And it was tough. And I just thought, you just gotta keep going. You can't, because I kept thinking it's so silly, but I thought I have to keep going. Now I'd been married for 7 years. I was afraid that my mom and dad would make me come live back at home. Why they would back in Missouri. I don't know why, but I thought you just have to show them you can do this, and you have to be strong. You can do it. Again, no real spiritual guidance there, which was very interesting. But yeah, I felt I was guided. I remember the afternoon after Mark's memorial, his mom and dad came into me and said, you're young. Because they were getting ready to go back to Albuquerque. We just need to tell you this now. You're young. You're going to fall in love again. You're going to remarry. And we just need you to know that's fine. That's good. And we will support you. And I said, well, thank you. No, I'm not going to do that. And they're like, oh, why not? I said, because this hurts too bad. I'm not going to do it, but thank you. Well, we need to hear you to hear us. We're okay with it. I said, okay. And you need to hear me. No. And so it was because it was just too much to comprehend, but that foresight in them. And she told me, she said at his memorial, it was harder for us to see you there alone than it would have been to see you with someone else. So they were very clear and loving and open that way too. And I there just have been such blessings to me all along the way. And then when I did then fly out to Colorado, I gave myself 3 days to find a place to rent, or I would just come back the next year and look again. I mean, that was my, my big rules for myself. And as I was looking around, and my aunt was driving me around, luckily saw the church, then drove around, and it was 8 o'clock the night before I was going back to Houston. I hadn't found a place, and I looked through the paper one more time, and there was a house there listed, and I was like, oh God. So I called, I said, I know it's late. And she said, no, that's okay. Please come see the house, but could you give me an hour? Because I just came home from having a baby, and my husband was here with our daughter, and it's a mess. And I said, oh, you don't have to, no, give me an hour. So we drove up, and it was a bright yellow house with red trim. And my aunt, we drove up, and she goes, Erica, if it looks like this on the outside, what is it going to look like on the inside? Let's just go back. I'm like, no, she just got home with the baby. We can't just not. So we walked in, and that hit was like, this is it. This is it. This is the place I will rent before I buy or anything like that. And so it was there. It was 10 minutes from the church, 5 minutes from where Roger lived. You know what I mean? Everything. I ended up in that very community. So, and within a month I was living there. So these things, they kind of happen. And when they land in me, they land for, I just can relate to them right away. And I just act on them. It's pretty clear. I'm very blessed in that.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yellow house with red trim. That must have been something.
Oh, and later I found out the people in the neighborhood called it the ketchup and mustard house. So, oh well.
And you did, and your sons, they were young. They adjusted to the move, and did they find their way through that? The grief and the move and all of.
Yeah. I didn't really know what I was doing in the whole grief process. I didn't have any classes or any counseling or anything like that. I was just stoic Erica, which is good on one hand and not good on the other hand. But they made it through. I've loved being a mom. And so us just staying really close all through that. They met Roger, loved him, and connected with him. Then they were a part of the community as well. Just a very loving and welcoming place. And then the schools they went to, the teacher, Justin's teacher, ended up going. She was already a member at Mile High, and it just seemed like I couldn't turn any direction and not feel that comfort and love. And then it was about not long before we got married. Roger and I got married. I just broke down one night. I just cried and wept and cried and wept. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong. But I think the dam had finally burst of like all those emotions that had kind of kept in. They just flooded out. And then he just, he just held me and talked to me and listened and listened and listened. And there was something so healing about that. And then I did see a counselor for a while to sort of help me kind of sort life, put it back together there. And then soon after we were married. So I feel very blessed that all along the way I had the support that I have needed, and the boys as well. And so they're now, gosh, they're 43 and going to be 46. So they're grown, and we've got, 6 grandkids from them, and I feel very, very blessed.
What do they think about their grandparents, parents and grandparents moving out of state?
I think they were all upfront, very like, we're excited for you and yay and all of that. And I know there was some sadness to an adjustment. We had always had the house that was everybody gathered, all Christmases, everybody's birthday. It was like every month something was going on. And so you sort of lose that tradition. And so how will we make it new, or how will they make it new, or whatever? So I think they're fine and happy for us. And I think it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, bittersweet.
So we've talked about your move from Houston, well, from where you grew up to then Houston, and then to Denver, and now to Phoenix area. And that's a lot of fresh starts and new chapters. And so here you are again at the beginning of a new chapter, and finding your way in a whole new space. And so what is it that you can see from all of these moves? There's been an evolution within you, I would imagine, throughout all of those moves. What is it that you would maybe offer or share with people that are watching that has helped you? What have you learned about yourself in moving from one state, one chapter to another, to another, to another?
Gosh, there have been a lot of moves, hasn't there? This one seems to be the biggest change. Roger being retired, and me, I haven't worked since I've been here. I haven't done any of the improv or anything. Just a lot of things sort of came to a stop, and I just didn't even feel like I could do anything for a while. The move itself was big, moving out of a home for 20 years, and moving my parents. Then they didn't want to stay in Denver if we were going to be there, so got them moved to California. And my sisters have been amazing helping them. It's just been a lot of it. Just felt like letting go of everything familiar, except that inner spiritual life. But everything else, nothing looks the same. And so when we got here, I just thought I just wanted to just not be anything for a while. I didn't want to try to go meet people, and Roger joined me in this. So it's like, we just got to get settled and unpacked, and a house half the size we were in, and things like that. But really what got me through again was that I knew it was a yes. Now, for me, it was somewhat health related. So that's a yes. I'm not going to compromise my health. So since it was a yes there, I had to start there. And again, Roger often says there's no private good. So if it's good for you and me, it'll be good for them. And I just had to keep knowing that was true, even though it was hard to wrap my mind around that. And it just felt like it was letting go. Oh, here it is again. Oops. Okay. Letting go. Just back and forth. It was a brutal year of that. And with holding on to that, and then making the best, and saying yes to this life here, it was oh gosh, I don't even know the word, but it was almost like a rebirth in a way of like, this is all new, and can you love this all new? Because even now when people say, do you like it there? I always have to start with, I really miss my family. Back there in Colorado, but yes, this is really great. And now I'm feeling like it really is great. It's beautiful. And you start to see the gifts here and there. Now suddenly we're meeting people. Now that improv has been brought up. Now I'm excited again about, I can get back into that. And just slowly, as to not just fill up the calendar again, because it was very full when we were in Colorado and at the church. Roger and I would have a calendar filled out a year and a half in advance to get in our dates every week, our vacations, so it's very different. So that I don't want to recreate that. And as things come, I'm sure the timing, as always, allows itself to be known, and I'll be guided to the next step.
Yeah. Whew. I can feel the weight of that move and all the details and the sort of recalibrating and settling into the new space, the new normal. You've been a practitioner since 2004, I think.
Yes.
And
yes, you're right.
So you have a spiritual practice. I'm imagining. How has that evolved, and how is that supporting you now? Are you able to, and I ask you this because I've struggled with this, moving around a lot. I'm wondering, is that similar, your spiritual practice throughout the years, even through the moves and the changes and the ups and the downs and the losses and all of it? Do you have a space that you go to connect with yourself, and are you able to do that where you are now, if you established your practice where you are now?
Yes. And I've had this practice for many years. I'm trying to think. Many, many, many years, probably 15 or more. And so I'm an early riser. I'm up before the sun is. And so I like to come into my space, my little office, which is in process still. And I can light a candle, have a little sage or whatever. And I do prayer and I do meditation, and I always do reading. And I have an array of books right down here by my feet.
What are you reading?
Oh my goodness, what am I not reading? So let's see. Well, Roger's book, always. That's up there. This Life is Joy. Right now, I've been Course in Miracles Made Easy by Alan Cohen, Panache Desai, his book.
Love Panache.
I love, watch him every morning, whatever.
Who's the author on that?
It is Matt Kahn.
Oh yeah, I have that book too.
And I had it forever. And then suddenly it's like you pull it off the shelf and this is what I have to read. So, and I mean, I have ruined books with all the bookmarks. So I love this little book too. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff in Love. This is an oldie but goodie, and you can just read one little thing a day. I love that as a good relationship reminder. Goodness.
Yeah, we're getting an insight into Erica's book list here.
Yeah,
Look at that.
I have so many. I'm trying to think. And then I was reading You Are Enough by Panache. And then I was reading Enough Already by Alan Cohen. And then I was reading Too Much by Terry Cole. So it's kind of like, but I love to read because I open it up and it's inspirational, and I mark it and all that. So I read, so I prayer and the reading, and then I'm good for the day. And I love at least a good hour. And I haven't found a place here yet where I could either be in nature, because it's there's no trees, but just a place to sort of go and sit. I thought maybe a church around, if I could just go and sit in a space. I love that kind of thing too. I haven't found that, but it'll come. It'll come.
I'm a member of the affiliated New Thought Network, ANT and Anton, and we would hold our annual retreat in Shadow Valley every year at the Franciscan Renewal Center. Have you been there?
Is that in Scottsdale?
Just outside of
Like,
Scottsdale. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful space to go and walk around and connect and be in that sort of vibration of peace and healing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I know you'll find some beautiful spots
Yes.
that are
Yes.
outside that aren't treed but are equally as well, maybe not equally,
Yes.
but somewhat beautiful as well.
Yes.
All right, we're
Yes.
going to take a really short break and we will be right back with Erica.
Great.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
I'm back. We are back, Erica and I, and we've been talking about your story. We've been talking about your spiritual practice. Now I want to move into the work you do in the world, improv. I experienced improv with you. I was part of the Big Sky Retreat organization, and we had you come, you and Roger came, and Roger gave you a keynote, and you did a beautiful, it was more than a workshop because it involved everyone. It wasn't a breakout. So it was a big production, and you shared improv with us. And I've heard you reference yourself as an introvert, and I feel the same way too. And when you were up there calling people to come up or volunteer to be a part of an improv, I was like, no, I was thinking to myself, there's no way I would ever go up there. But then there was that something in me that said, just push yourself, just do it, be brave, raise your hand, do it afraid. And so I did end up doing it. I think my husband, then he was probably the first one to raise his hand and do it. And so we were reflecting on it this morning. But definitely for me, it was a big push. But I found, interestingly, once I got up there was something else came over me, like this something. And so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about improv. I want to talk about how you've seen improv help people like me, introverts, make that big step up onto the stage and do something spontaneous. So how did you first get into improv, and what is improv?
Okay. Well, improv is improvisation. So improvisation is doing anything at all, whether it's music or theater or comedy or making a cake. I don't know. It's just anything that is not pre-planned. So it's in the moment, it's inspiration in the moment. So in order to do that, we have to, pay attention and know what we want to do and just allow that creativity to come forth in the moment. And so I got into improv because Karen Thomas, who is the events director at Mile High Church, she called me in one summer day and she said, Alan Arkin, the actor, is going to be coming to present a workshop at Mile High Church. And I said, yeah, I saw the ad. And she said, well, we're shy 2 people to reaching his minimum. So she said, if you'll take it, I'll take it. I said, okay, I'll take it. I said, but Karen, I don't even know what improv is. And she said, none of us do. I thought, okay, well, if nobody does, then what is it? And this was, I think, before Google, or I would have been Googling, but yeah, that was gone. So, and I looked at the date and it was 20 years to the day that Mark had passed away. And I thought, and stuff like that means stuff to me. I was like, okay, 20 years prior, that's when I really started improvising my life. So, okay, I'll take this. And so I went. Alan was so great. He's very laid back, very casual. He's in his Birkenstocks and his shirt and blah, and all this. His lovely wife, Suzanne, was there. So everything was very easygoing. And before we got up to do our first game, he said, remember these. Don't try to make me laugh. Don't try to be funny. And don't try to impress me. And I thought, I cannot impress you if that's all it takes. So I thought, okay. So I translated it as just have some fun. And with him, it was so easy when it was fun and it was silly and, people joined in, and it was mostly people I knew from the church. So that was fun. And it was really great. And I felt like by the end of that weekend that I had waited my entire life for that experience. And I had not even known what it was, but it was sure, I'll do that. And I was, I think, 44 at the time. So I just fell in love with that. And he pulled me aside and he said, you could do this. He said, I think, you should do this. I was like, and he said, but don't take any lessons. And I thought, well, how do you just show up at a theater going, hey, Alan said, because I didn't know. I mean, there are things to really know. And looking back, because then that started a whole thing of 6 months later, I took a class because what else was I going to do? So I took a class, and the first night the guy said, this is a 6-week class, but the last one is a performance for your friends and family. And the second I heard performance, I went from this open heart fun to this, it better be good. You better make people laugh. You better impress, but it just everything went out the window, and it stayed out the window for 6 years.
Wow.
I know. Oh my God, poor Roger. On the couch, like, I don't know, I hate this, I love this, I don't know what to do. And I just couldn't, it was awful. And I was always trying to figure it out. I would take classes, and my teachers would say, all you have to do is listen, say yes, and add one little thing and keep moving. I said, okay, but what makes it funny? You listen, you say yes, and you add one little thing, you keep going. Okay, but what's the trick? I just couldn't believe that that's all it was. But I think that's what I was doing that first weekend. Anyway, after 6 weeks, 6 years, I finally told God, I said, look, God, you're going to have to tell me, am I supposed to quit? This is ridiculous. I hate it and I love it. And I hate it and love it. And it's been a lot of time and energy in this thing. I said, just give me a sign, please. You got a couple of weeks. So Roger had just been given this book, The War of Art, which everyone's familiar with. Love this book. And I opened it to this page here. It said, the more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel toward pursuing it. And that's all I felt was resistance. Like, well, dang it, just a dumb book. So then I opened it up to this other page, and it said, the more fear we feel about a specific enterprise, the more certain we can be that that enterprise is important to us and to the growth of our soul. And I was like,
Ooh.
Fine, okay. So I go to my laptop. You remember when your inbox only had like one or two things? The only thing in it was a class presented by a person I had not met at a theater I had been at for a while, and it was called the Improv Clinic by Joshua Kirk. And I was like, and it was 4 classes, and in between those were 4 performances. So you would perform, and then he would unpack them, and you'd learn about it. You take that to class next week, and then it was group, but it was specific, and that's exactly what I needed. But at the time I was like, I hate performances. I'm going to sign up before I've gotten the message that I need to do that. Sorry, it's our dog. So that's the thing that turned me around, is that I took that class. I walked in fresh. I thought, I don't know this guy. He's 20 years my junior, red hair, blue eyes. That's his energy. It's not my energy. And I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I went in fresh, and I walked in, and energetically, when I saw him, I thought, it's good to see you. Almost like a friend from you had not met or seen in a million years. And there was sort of this instant calm. And then from day one on, he was like able to, I think I was in a whole different place to where I could take in, this is all you have to do, and enjoy it. And I was like, oh my gosh, he ended up being my business partner, and we performed dual improv sets together, just the 2 of us. And so that was again a big turning point by a big yes. So soon after that, being an introvert, people heard that I was taking improv. They were like, she speaks, she's so quiet. But and so they wanted to take classes from me. I'm like, I'm not a teacher. I don't know. And like, please, we don't want to take it from anyone else. I don't know. It's too scary. So I put together a workshop and started teaching that. And that was just maybe a year after I graduated from the school there. So 2007. And I just put together this class, and they filled up with people who were just curious about it. And some were interested in performing down the road. Most people just wanted to come and experience the silly games and the, how can this be good? So I started teaching then. And I just love teaching, especially people who are new to it, just opening eyes and hearts and lives, because it certainly opened mine up. And you mentioned being an introvert. I found that during that little love-hate, relationship with improv, I found that my world felt like the walls were coming a little closer together. It felt like my introvertness, whatever, it just started coming in more and more. And I was like, no. It just felt crowded. And then when I started really understanding how to use the principles of improv, it started opening them up again. I'm an introvert. I will always be an introvert, but it had just gotten too small. Then it felt like this is where I'm comfortable. This is where I normally play, and I can be myself. And so it helps sort of open that back up, because one of the first, guidelines is in improv is just saying yes. And I was saying no a whole lot. So that began to open it up. And then you get sort of this bravery, like you mentioned, when you got up on stage, well, something kind of happens, and you feel sort of like you're supported. It's like, okay, I'm here, and it's okay, and nobody got hurt. And so that's how I got started, and then continued on, and then started performing more.
How have you seen improv support people in their spiritual journey?
I've seen that a lot. And I believe it's the courage it takes to just say yes, and to say yes. And so with that first principle, along all the other principles just kind of support that one, and they're very important too. But that is saying yes to life, to saying yes to the thing, to saying on stage, if my scene partner comes out and says, we're going on our honeymoon on Mars, I say, yes, I have always wanted to go there. You just like, I don't know where that came from. And then then back and forth, and you start growing this. And it just starts with knowing that there's a yes in there somewhere. If it's a little scary, is it a scary yes because your, ego's in there going, no, or is it because you don't think you know enough, or because maybe in your past you stepped out a few times and, you step back again, like, I'm not doing that again. We all have our own path on what that fearful yes is, that initial yes is. And so that's been helpful to people. I've had people, and Joshua was in there as well, but had people who came in like week number 2 and they were like, I'm quitting my job. We're like, oh,
wow.
Because of this class. We're like, you need to sign a disclaimer. A couple came in and later they shared with us that they were heading toward divorce, that they were just like, this isn't working. They had signed up for the class. They went ahead and took it. And through that, they learned how to play again. They realized that they were getting too busy in work and it was just too much, and they hadn't taken time to play. They are still together and they have 3 kids now. And I think the oldest is probably 9, maybe. So relationships, people saying yes, I'm willing to take a chance again in life, in relationship and in love. And so a lot of big changes just from the yes and the yes and.
Yeah, I can see that just that principle of saying yes when we're, and you and I were talking about the Enneagram earlier on before the show, and talking about personality types. And I think we get so locked into our particular personality type with all of its lists of yeses and nos. But when you're put into a container like this, doing improv, all of that has to kind of just be set aside. And so it gives people an experience of trying out being themselves without their personality, the yes and no side of things. And so I can see that would be a great kind of Kickstarter to exploring other options, not just on the improv stage, but in their life in general. Like, well, what if I didn't always say no to this, or have that response inside me that keeps me from making deeper connections or trying out new things? Or I could see that would be an amazing opportunity for people. And I could see why people want to quit their jobs and stay married and all of the things that you talked about.
It's true. And it's fun because you learn it in class in a game. So I just say, Allie, and you would say yes, because I got your name right. And then you'd look at someone else's name, you're learning that you're Bill. Yes. And so we just take our little yeses here and there. Those are just small things. And then those games build on each other. And then when we get into a little bit of scene work, we learn that it's a yes means I'm agreeing with what's before me. I'm saying yes to this, like this, the plane is late. Yes, that's happening. And then the and part, and are our options. And I can go to customer service, see if I get another flight. I can have a nice relaxing lunch. I can take a nap. I can read a book. I can, my and is my choice point. So what is going to fit with me in that and? And so when you put that into life, it's like, okay, I've got options now. I'm saying yes, that the plane isn't here. I can rail against it, still not here. Or I can say, and what do I do next? And so it just makes it into nice bite-sized pieces to be able to know what the next thing to do is. So, and I found that the more I practiced the yes and on the stage and in class, the more I did it in my real life, and vice versa. It just became one. And it's way more fun life.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely. I can just see that person at in the airport hearing the plane got delayed and just saying no and going back to their seat and creating all kinds of mental, emotional turmoil. Whereas you introduce that yes and and so many more options and doorways open up. And when you were saying about being in the group and you're just using your name as a, you know, an exercise, I was thinking of myself, and I would be going into a group like that and just like, okay, I'm going to keep a low profile. I'm just going to mind my own business. So to be given the, you know, the exercise of saying, Allie, yes, and Erica, yeah, pretty soon you're going to meet everyone in the room. And I can see that my husband's an absolute extrovert, and he doesn't go anywhere where he doesn't meet, you know, 10 new friends. And me, I'm like, there was nobody there, you know, I'm just in my own little bubble. And so I can see that this would be a great way of sort of shifting your own paradigm of staying stuck in your own personality and your own head, own way of doing things. So what are some of the other principles that improv carries?
The next big one, I would say, is making your scene partner look good, supporting your scene partner. So if my scene partner does say we're going to get married on Mars or whatever, I'm not going to go, this is dumb. Okay, whatever, we're getting married. I'm going to like think that's the best idea ever, and I'm going to make his idea look good. And then when I respond, then I might respond not exactly how he thought, because we never know how the person's going to respond. Then he will help that make my response look good. And then we keep working with each other. We're not going to throw someone under the bus. You know, that's no fun. Okay, he threw me under the bus a couple of times, but we knew each other. It was okay. But, you know, it builds that trust. If I'm going to make you look good, you're going to make me look good. You can take that in your work, in your relationships, your grandkids, neighbors, whatever. Just kind of lift each other up in this. Why not?
It's sounding like this is a spiritual class in disguise as an improv. Yeah. Okay. What's the next one? Making your
and be an all-encompassing. I write these things down in my notes. I haven't taught in so long. Like, what are they? Being an all-encompassing full-body communicator. So be able to communicate well, make that eye connection, listen to what someone says, respond to what they say. Don't get in your head and think of, I got so many great things to say. Really take your time with that. And what I always think of that is like, there are so many other things we can use than our voice. And I think, what if we were in a glass box and somebody came and they're like, it's dinner. And I'm like, you know, I can show I'm excited for dinner, or I can look at it going, it doesn't look so great. Or somebody walks in, I'm like, you know, loving that person, or a little confused, or whatever it is. There's so much more. And when you do that on stage, it helps the whole audience get that, oh, she's really upset about this, or she's really happy to see this person. And when we do that in real life, we're a more interesting communicator anyway. That eye contact, listening, use it all, and really, really pay attention.
That's a great one. I'm just considering how I would show up at my grandchildren's house and be that more dynamic grandmother, and what that might do to shift certain energies and our relationship. Yeah.
And bring it up within yourself, because we've all got it in. Whenever I'm going to a place, when I would go to church before Roger was going to speak, and 3 services and a lot of people in the lobby talking and all of that, I used to leave just depleted. And I thought, help me know what to do. And it came to me, fill yourself up with love, 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 love. Fill yourself up. So when you step into that arena, you have something to offer and to give. And at least they're feeling some love within. It's just an energy. And then that way we could do all 3 services, then go to a Bronco game and feel really great by the time I got home. So like with the grandkids, like, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, you know, I was raised in England, and you're supposed to not be, you know, too dramatic. You're not supposed to be a tall poppy. And so it's like, oh, okay, this is, and I've been here in America for years, so this isn't new to me, this idea of, you know, standing out and being more animated. But it's definitely, I can see in different cultures, that not all of us are encouraged to be expressing ourselves so dynamically in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we've got somebody watching, Robert Powell. Erica always made us feel like there were no mistakes in improv. Oh,
Love you, Robert. Oh my God. He was great. Yeah, that's my big thing. Nothing's a mistake. And also, thank you, Robert, for this. After any game, anything, I announce a game, we end a game, we start a game, it's always yay. And then somebody it's just ends, it starts and begins with ends with yay and clapping, and everybody's doing it. It keeps the energy in the room. Then you're not afraid if you step out and you make a misstep or whatever in your mind, you're like yay. It doesn't matter. Just erase all that. It's just freaking life, you know.
So are there any more principles to improv?
Yeah, I got a few more. Replace fear or resistance with excitement. If you can get excited, and that's part of the yay thing. It's like, if you're going to play a game, we're going to play the memory game this time, or whatever, something that I made that title up. But if people are like, oh, I don't know about my memory, I don't know if I can, and I'm like, yay, and then everyone's yay, and here's the rules, or here's what we're going to do, and people are like, okay, but I thought we were a positive group here, yay. So it's just always up and happy. So it just makes a big difference when you know, instead of I'm afraid, I'm excited about that. So that's one.
Yeah,
and then always,
we got time for one more, and then I want to let people know how they can connect with you.
Yeah. And one is just either, if there's fun happening, if you're going to a party, join the fun. If there's nothing going on where you're going, bring the fun, be the fun. And whatever, you don't have to be a clown or anything, but just, again, bring your presence, bring your smile, bring your friendliness, bring your love, and just be a point of that in a world that doesn't always see that, you know, be that. Why not?
I could see this being really powerful for children as well as adults. This must be a great joy for you to be able to see people come out of their shells, to practice these principles and really turn things around for themselves. You must love doing the work you do.
Yeah, I do. I love it. And I'm grateful that it's resurfacing now. It's time.
It's time. So how can people get in touch with you?
My website, ericateel.com. I will tell you, though, I don't have any classes or anything in the works yet, because this is brand new, that it's like resurfacing and it's time. So I'm in Arizona now, so just look there. The website would be good. And I've got an email address that's attached to that.
Awesome. So I always end the show with this same question. We all know the song, What the World Needs Now is Love, Sweet Love. What else does the world need right now, Erica?
Oh, gosh. A higher vision of anything, no matter where we are in the world, what we believe in, don't believe in, a higher vision of what's possible, and just not losing that. And I was going to say joy, it's Roger's book, This Life is Joy. But he's like, where is it? But yeah, I think just remembering that things that are going on, that they've always been going on. Can we keep a higher vision? And I always think, where can I have a patch of earth to take care of where I am. I've got my community, my home, my family. How can I tend to my patch of the earth, is what I call it. And if I can make it a more joyful and loving space, then I've done what I can do.
Awesome. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, you heard it here, everyone. Thank you, Erica. Thank you so much for being my guest today. It's been great to get to know you.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Okay. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. And I will see you next week on Growing Edge Live. Peace and blessings to you wherever you are. And cast a big vision for the future that you want to see. And thank you, Erica. See you next week.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge.